What's up, everyone? DUBS Podcast back here for another episode, the best place to talk sports. We got the regulars Jesus, Steven, Shelly, and Brandon. And today, we got a fun episode as we're going to give our top 10 all-time players for both baseball and basketball. The other day, we saw ESPN's and NBA's listings, and we thought, hey, why not rank our own? And let's see how much of an argument we start. So, Shelly, you want to go over first what ESPN first ranked for their all-time baseball players?
Yes. So I was browsing the web, and I came across the ESPN list. And I read it first, and I thought it was stupid. But I'm going to list the 10 right here. There's going to be a graphic. If you're watching on YouTube, there's going to be a graphic of the ESPN list along with all of our lists. I'll put a timestamp in the description if you guys want to go back to it. For the top 10, going from 10 to 1, Pete Rose was number 10, Mariano Rivera number 9, Ricky Henderson at number 8, Roger Clemens at number 7, Walter Johnson, the big train, at number 6, Ted Williams at number 5, Hammer and Hank Aaron at number 4, Willie Mays at number 3, number 2 is Barry Bonds, and number 1, Babe Ruth. So what do y'all think of that list?
I think 1 through 5 is pretty good, but then after it gets a little shaky with Rocket Roger, with Ricky, and with Pete Rose, I think the first 5 are pretty solid in that respect.
I think they based it off, like you were saying, Ricky Henderson. They based off like the difference maker that those players are. Like Ricky Henderson, 130 stolen bases in a season is like, what is it, like 1,400 career stolen bases? Like that. Yeah. Those 2 records will never be broken. No one will come close, especially in the game we are today. But I think just the difference that those players made on the field, that's why they were put in at top 10. So
yeah, I kind of agree with Steven. When I first was watching the video, the thought that came to mind was like, these guys were all record holders, record breakers. And, I mean, yeah, that has some value. But I think as we go through our list, we'll see that we're obviously going to debate. Like, I agree, 1 through 5 is solid, but our 6 through 10s are kind of all over the place. So,
yes.
So Shelly, I just wanted to ask why he didn't really agree with this top 10.
I don't know. There's a lot of picks on here that I don't think should be top 10. I think Mariano Rivera, Ricky Henderson, Roger. I mean, well, we're all going to explain our lists later, so I shouldn't really bring this up. But again, it's very, very, very hard to rank baseball. Yeah. Like for basketball, it was much easier because basketball has a much shorter history. Baseball, we're going in the freaking 1860s. Like this is a long sport or an old sport. So
all right,
for us to rank these players, it's very hard.
All right, Steven, start us off with your top 10.
Okay, so I kind of did when I was making my top 10, like difference makers, but I also like made some changes into the ESPN one. So for my number 10, I picked Tony Gwynn. I think he's one of the greatest hitters of all time. Almost a 400 average with 2 strikes in his career. I think that just makes him already top 10. Number 9, we got Pete Rose. I think he should be a Hall of Famer. I mean, yeah, he had the dispute of him, gambling on the game, but 4,200 hits, you got to put him in. Number 8, I have Mariano Rivera, purely based on a stat I saw yesterday that it was more men have walked on the moon than have scored on Mariano Rivera in the playoffs. Like he's only given up 12 runs in the playoffs, only throwing a fastball, like a cutter, a 2-seam, and a 4-seam, like that. Number 7, I had Ted Williams. Number 7, I had Ted Williams, and it was kind of hard for me to make put him so low because I know of how good he was and complete he was as a player, but I just think his career wasn't long enough, and it's not his fault. He served his country in the war, but if he played a full season or full length career, I would put him top 3 maybe. Number 6, I have Cy Young, 500 career wins. That record will never be broken in the history of baseball. No one will come close, just like Ricky Henderson. But number 5, I have Ken Griffey Jr. I think he would be maybe 2 or 3 if his injuries didn't happen, but they did. But he's still a top player. I think he should have been the first to be unanimous, but those 3 voters didn't think so. They took him out. Number 4, I'm the same with ESPN. I have Hank Aaron. Man's just a monster. Barry Bonds took steroids. so like it's like a little controversial with Barry Bonds' home run record. Hank Aaron was a pure player, pure athlete. He's just great, hit well, strong arm, just everything. Then at number 3, I have Willie Mays. He was the Mike Trout before Mike Trout, but Willie Mays, just like Hank Aaron, complete player. You know, he has a famous catch at the Polo Grounds. A lot of people like try replicating over the back. He's just a complete player. There's nothing bad about him. Great defensively, great hitter. He was one of the first like 5-tool players there was. Number 2, I put Babe Ruth at number 2 just because it's true. He revolutionized the game. He brought attendance. I know in our 8-push class, we were learning how like during his time playing, like more fans went out, and it's because of Babe Ruth. No one hit home runs really before Babe Ruth. And then, you know, he changed the game completely, and now we're all about home runs. I just put him at 2 just because my number 1, Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds is the scariest hitter to ever come to the plate. MLB last year did the top 40 seasons of all time, just one season. Barry Bonds' 2004 season was number 1. He had like a 340 average, but the big thing was his OBP was over 600. That's just unheard of. He had like 200. He had like 200 walks. He's the leader, not just home runs, but walks, intentional walks. He has 7 MVPs. Mike Trout may come close to that in his career. We don't know. Mike Trout's only halfway done with his career. Barry Bonds is the greatest player of all time. I don't think there's steroids, but even people that have used steroids like Robinson Cano or whatever, they can't put up numbers like those. He's a great player.
Okay, yeah. Well, all right, now, Shelly, give us your top 10.
All right, so starting at number 10, we have Pete Rose. Just like Steven said, Pete Rose, most hits in history, should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why he's not in it. That's stupid, in my opinion. Number 9, everyone's going to call me stupid for this. Cap Anson.
Oh, boy.
I'm not stupid, all right? Cap Anson was the best player of the 1800s, okay? Many people forget about that time, but this man, he was a joy to watch. I didn't get to watch him. Not many people came out to baseball games in the 1800s. Okay, look, 4th all-time in RBIs. That's insane. 7th all-time in hits. Not to mention, he was a manager while he played, and he played literally every position with a fielding percentage of .961, which is crazy. Number 8, Ted Williams. Ted Williams, if he had played more years, he might have been higher on the list. I think he's one of the greatest hitters of all time. I'm going to say that for literally everyone on this list. This is so hard. Number 7, Walter Johnson, the big train. Guy was touted as the first person to ever throw 100 miles an hour. I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah,
but
no.
It is. Yeah, he was.
Oh, okay.
He was. He threw gas.
Threw gas, dude. Threw some gas.Cy Young, never going to beat that 500-inning pitch record. That's insane.
Wins. So 500 wins.
500 wins. Okay, yeah. And he's also got an award named after him. Duh. That's not that big of a deal. Ty Cobb. No one has no one has Ty Cobb on their list, and I placed him 5th. Ty Cobb. Let me pull up his stats right here. This guy was nuts. Okay, 368 career batting average, 961 career fielding percentage. He first all time in batting average. His offensive WAR is 2nd all time. WAR of position players 4th all time. 5th in plate appearances. 2nd in runs scored. 2nd in hits. Dude's just a monster. Okay, dude's just a monster. Now number 4 for you guys, I've got Hank Aaron, Hammer and Hank. This guy is insane. I think he was the greatest player of the 7. I think, yeah, it was the 70s, right? When he played?
Yeah.
He was the greatest player of the 70s. Mashed bombs. He beat, I think it was Babe Ruth's record. And he shattered it. Babe Ruth is number 3. People are going to hate me for this. But Babe Ruth, yes, he was good. Yes, he brought fans to games. yes, he is the number one name that you think of when you think of baseball, right? Reason I didn't place him higher is because of my number 2, Willie Mays, who I think, like Steven said, the Mike Trout before Mike Trout. He is such an iconic player, and you cannot ignore how good of a player he was throughout his lifetime. And the number 1, Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds is, like Steven said, the scariest batter to ever come to the plate. He was intentionally walked with the bases loaded in an 8-6 ball game in the 9th
And
inning.
it worked. It worked.
And it worked.
Yeah.
That's how they were so scared of him. They said they'd rather have a run score and have him not hit a bomb than have him hit a bomb or hit a double like he was so used to doing. So yes, even though he took steroids, still my number 1. I don't care. It's hard to hit a baseball, and he did it so exceptionally well. Brandon, what is your top 10?
Before I begin, in pursuit of being historically accurate, baseball was started in 1876, Shelley. So.
Okay.
I don't care.
All right. I will concede very quickly that my historical knowledge of baseball is not the greatest. So my list, I know, is going to spark controversy, but this is all off my gut. And you guys can question me all you want. It's fine, because I'm probably not going to have a good reason for why I put these guys where they are. But this is how I feel. So number 10, we've got Derek Jeter. You know, I really felt that Jeter deserved to be on this list because, you know, I think he's honestly the first player that I remember when I was little. And that memory of him and everyone trying to say Jeter and backhanding it and throwing across the diamond, that's something that stuck with me since I was little. So I can't.
That was the Kobe before Kobe.
Yeah, I got it. I got to give him credit.
For baseball, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Number 9, I got Ichiro.
Japanese
you know,
pride.
I gotta represent the Japanese people. I mean,
A little biased.
I mean, I know you got like guys like Nomo who pitched for the Dodgers, but Ichiro to me respected the game, played the game right, and he just played scrappy, and I admire that. Number 8, we got Mariano Rivera. I agree with MLB on this one that Rivera should be on the list. The MLB all-time leader in saves, you know, that's super commendable. And for how many? Wait, he played.
It's like 17
to 20 seasons.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but like to be that consistent over his career and to be an established closer, it's something commendable. Consistency is so hard in the MLB, and he deserves some credit. And that's where Nolan Ryan comes in number 7. I think his strikeout record is something to be commended as well. That's just incredible. Number 6, I got Walter Johnson, just because that guy seemed cool, and I felt like he deserves some love. Here,
Okay.
I think I'm gonna get a lot of flack. Number 5, I had Babe Ruth, and here's why.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Oh, that's a little low.
I have Babe Ruth at number 5 because I feel the 4 guys ahead of him were all better. Were all
Like more complete.
besides Barry Bond, we're all more complete players. Babe Ruth was only known for hitting bombs, and while the other guys did hit bombs, guys like Willie Mays, who I admire, and Hank Aaron, they could field as well. And I also don't like Babe Ruth's attitude off the field, so that's also why he's lower on my list. Like I'm a big believer in playing the game and respecting the game. And to me, while Babe Ruth was a showman, and I understand that there's a attitude that comes with that, you still gotta respect the game in the end. So that's why he's lower.
Brandon,
Number 4,
you're like a college scout.
Well, that's just how I view the players. And number 4, I got Hank Aaron. His 714 home runs is pretty incredible.
756.
755. I'm sorry, 750. Yeah, 756. 714 was someone else.
It was Babe.
That's right. I got them mixed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's there. Hank Aaron, number 4. Number 3, Ted Williams. I think he deserves to be higher because, like everyone said, if he played a full career, I feel he would have been one of the greatest hitters ever. He's one of the players that I remember from the record book when I was little. I I think I don't know if this is accurate, but I do remember something like he was the last person to hit above 400 in the season.
Yeah.
George Brett
19
came close in the
Yeah.
85 season or something like that, but
Like he hit
He
433 in the 1930s. He's the last player ever to hit over 400.
and it's
in
still
that
30
season.
points ahead. It's still
Yeah.
30 points above 400, which is impressive.
That's ridiculous, and that stuck with me. So that's why he's there.
Also,
Willie
wait.
Mays. Oh,
Can I bring up
go ahead.
something?
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's impressive for someone to hit 300.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let alone
Yeah.
400. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, go continue.
So number 2, I've got Willie Mays, and that guy, just incredible. The Willie Mays basket catch. Everyone has seen that play, and I've made a couple plays like that on the field, so that's kind of really cool.
Okay.
Okay, I made one play like that on the field.
Living
I
out his
remember it.
glory days in pony baseball. I love it.
No, I made it during the season this year. I think so it's fine. And number 1 is Barry Bonds, because you can't really argue with Barry Bonds. And I know that he's had the scandal and stuff, but come on, the man hit 700. Okay. Well, everyone is reacting because Jesus just made some last minute changes, and I'm sure we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds, number 1 for me, no doubt. Like, and when we made this list, he's the first person I put down because
It's undisputable.
So just his presence at the plate alone, like if you go up to the plate and like you just strike fear into the other team, like that's just crazy. That means you're good. You've made it. So there's my top 10. I'm ready to get flamed to the comments section, so please do.
All right. So lastly, but not least, is my top 10. Number 10, we're gonna go with the kid, Ken Griffey Jr. Hit 630 dingers. Although he had many injuries during his season, I literally could think if he was healthy throughout his whole career, he would have been the first player to 800 home runs. No doubt. When you think of Ken Griffey Jr., you think of his swing. It's literally when you think of the perfect swing in baseball, you think of Ken Griffey's swing. That's how amazing his swing was. At number 9, this is going to be very debatable, but I feel like I have enough hard evidence to back this up. I'm going to show some love for my Dodger fans out here. We got Sandy Koufax at number 9. Okay, here he only had 11 full seasons, and in those seasons he won 3 Cy Youngs. He struck out 300. Okay, people remember Nolan Ryan as the king of striking out, but strikeouts. But he also had zero control whatsoever.
Yep.
He also had the most walks. Sandy Koufax had Ryan's capability of striking out players, but his control was what separated him from Ryan, in my opinion. He did not ever record high walk totals. He won 3 Cy Youngs before turning 30. He basically retired in his prime. And at number 8, we got Cy Young. We got the greatest pitcher, 500 wins. We all know that. And the only reason I have Walter Johnson ahead of him is because of Walter Johnson's 110 shutouts. That's never going to be broken ever. I can guarantee that. And at number 6, another controversial pick, but a lot of people forget. Everyone remembers Willie Mays as the greatest outfielder during that time, but people forget about Mickey Mantle. He was a winner. He was people when Mike Trout came up, people referred to Mike Trout as Mickey Mantle because Mickey was great as a youngster. Barring that injury, there was an injury that he was at Yankee Stadium in center field. He tripped on a pipe, and he was never the same ever again. So, I mean, that's also a big what if. But he was a winner. He was, I think, a 5-time World Series champion. He can hit for power. He can hit for contact. He was him alongside Willie Mays. They were the best 5-tool players at that time. And at number 5, we got Ted Williams, in my opinion, the greatest pure hitter of all time, last hitter to hit 400. At number 4, this is going to spark some, but I put Willie Mays behind Hank Aaron just because the fact that Hank Aaron Hank Aaron played it deeper in the 70s, back when fastball's velocity started going faster. Like Hank was able to play against Warren Spahn, be able to play against Nolan Ryan. He was able to see the best of different eras, and that's why I have Hank Aaron at number 3. And to me, he's the 756 home runs was an insane record. And at number 2, we got Babe Ruth. In my opinion, The only reason I put him at number 2 is because back in the day, competition wasn't what it is now. But he is. When you think of baseball, you think of Babe Ruth. Like that's the one name that comes to mind. Just as with basketball, it's Michael Jordan. With baseball, it's Babe Ruth. And at number 1, I got Barry Bonds. In my opinion, as Steven said, his 2004 season is literally insane. He got on base more than he didn't get on base. He got on base more, and yeah. So, what are your guys's like? Whoa, why do you have that guy?
Do you want to just go like one at a time, like down like each person's list at a time? Like you start with me, then does Shelly, Brandon, and then Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
Everyone
Okay.
can
Just do it,
question.
yeah.
So everyone can question Steven at this time.
All right, yeah. Steven's list.
And just go one at a time. Like don't like all yell at me.
Okay, I'll go first. For Stevens, I wouldn't put Tony Gwynn up there, but that's just like it's a Tony Gwynn's opinion based. Like it depends how you want to rank. Like, oh, you want to include more hitters, then Tony Gwynn is a great option. But I mean, it's also part of the fact that he played in San Diego his whole career. That's why he's also kind of not unheard of, but like not respected as much as the greats, like all-time greats.
Well, okay, my answer to that is just like you said earlier. Tony Gwynn also faced some of the best pitchers of all time.
Yeah,
with Koufax and I think it was Koufax and Nolan Ryan. Like he played up to those players. Like I said earlier, there was like a 390 average with 2 strikes. I know I'm on his stats right now. Per 162 games, he averaged 29 strikeouts a season. And in a game right now where strikeouts, go up every year, even some of the best hitters strike out a ton in our game. Mm-hmm. Tony Gwynn was just a pure hitter. Mr. 5.5, the slap hit between third base and shortstop. Like he goated that hit, and he also he led the league in hitting. Like he was a batting champ like 6-7 times. And he played a long time too. That's why I considered putting Ichiro. I put in Ichiro first. I just thought that Tony Gwynn, I don't know. I put Tony Gwynn above just because he faced more like dominant pitching than Ichiro.
Yeah, the 90s Braves. If Ichiro would have played his whole career in the States, I would put Ichiro over Tony Gwynn, and I'm pretty sure everyone would have Ichiro in their top 10.
Okay. Next one.
I'm gonna be honest, Steven. I can respect yours because, like I said before, it's so hard to rank baseball players, especially of all time. The only one that kind of irks me is Ken Griffey Jr. at 5. Because he was he's such a good player. But again, there's so many more hitters that I think were better than him. I can like Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, Stan Musial. Like there's so many. Mike Trout.
Okay.
But I don't know about that pick there personally. I do think he is better than Tony Gwynn, so I can respect that. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
My only opinion is I'm not a Pete Rose fan, so that's why he's not even on my list. So
okay, so
I have my issues with Pete Rose. So
I'll go with Shelly first. I agree. I think it was Brandon who said he'd be the first or is it Jesus the first 800?
Yeah,
I agree with that, and I've heard many people say that before. But just like what we've heard, like he's the best swing of all time, probably the swagger, the swagger he brought. With Brandon bias or whatever to Ichiro, I'm just kind of biased to Griffey just because he was a lefty, lefty power. But lefty swings, I don't know why they just look better in the game than baseball, but that's not the reason. So like he was just a great player. Yeah. And when he went to Cincinnati, like that's kind of when his career kind of went down with injuries.
Fell off, yeah.
But I don't know, his hitting, the swagger, how he was just like he was the face of the league. His defense, which because his hitting was so good, his defense is overlooked. He's just an amazing player. I think he's top 5 all time.
Yeah. Also, something else. He made it to the bigs in literally like a season.
Yep.
Like there are stories of his dad, of Ken Griffey.
They played together.
Yeah. There's stories of Ken when he was a kid. Griffey would hit in his house and he broke a window, and his mom was like, his mom told his father, "Hey, tell him to stop." And you know what her dad said? His dad said that, "Hey, you can't teach this swing, so just let him do what he wants to do. You cannot teach this swing." That's how, to me, a top 10 list has to have Ken Griffey Jr. in it.
Yeah, and even I put him so high because you even see in the Hall of Fame, he had it was 99.7. Like he was just off by 3-4 votes. Okay, and then to Brandon's question about Pete Rose, like him or hate him, he kind of had a crappy attitude or whatever. He was also a player manager too, but I don't know. I don't think you could get mad at 4,200 hits. He played a long career.
Yeah,
but I mean, you say you hate players, and yet we all put Barry Bonds at number 1.
Yeah,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Stats don't lie, even though steroids were. But P. Rose didn't use steroids. I think he was just also a lefty. He was a lefty hitter. You gotta show the love for the lefties.
It just goes to show, it's so hard to rate these guys because you can make them so many different ways and different opinions.
In basketball, we're a little closer, similar, but in baseball, we have completely different players.
Yeah.
All right. Now
I'll ask first.
All right.
Actually, no, someone else. I'm gonna think about this one first.
All right. The biggest problem I have with this, there's too many players from the past, old times. The game was a lot different. I get it. Camp Benson was good. Ty Cobb was good. I take out one of those two, either Ty Cobb or Cap Benson, just because you already have Cy Young, and you already have Babe Ruth, and you already have Walter Johnson. I feel like that's too much, and the game was literally so much different. You can see through statistics, it was just played differently. So obviously, some of these players are gonna have an advantage for counting stats.
Yeah, going with Jesus, when people make the argument, say if this guy from the past played today, he would dominate. I always say can you really prove that? Because you can't. It's hard to make that comparison between the past and the future. Players in the past are geared to play in the past. That's why they're successful. But you put their strategies into today's game, it's so hard to say they would dominate because we really don't know. So I agree with Jesus in that it's hard to only say the past players were good because the game has evolved so much over time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna respond to both of you guys at the same time.
All right.
So here's my take on this. When you let's say we're in a high school baseball game, all right?
Uh-huh.
And we're playing against 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds.
All right.
Okay, I just realized that, and now that was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I kind of knew where it was going.
What I'm trying to say is you can't you have to think of the game that they were playing in. Yes, players today are playing in a much different game than the people that played in the mid 1900s or early 1900s. But you still have to respect that the game that they put together. Well, I mean, it's so hard to talk about, man. It's so hard. But you have to have respect for what they played in. And I don't know, man.
It just goes to show how fluid the game of baseball is. It's
Oh yeah.
You can
it's
so
much.
easily so easily we can make top 20s per era, and we'd still have a debate. And we were talking about this before we started, but making a whole top 10, we were all iffy on this because we were it was hard. It was really hard to come up with a top 10. So I get where Shelly's coming from. It's just a mindset you have, and it. I can see where you're coming from, Shelly, but it's hard to encompass baseball as one full era.
Today's game is also much harder than the.
It's one man's opinion. I mean, Okay, so I agree with Jesus and Brandon about like too many like really long past players, but you know, I respect the list. Like there were a lot of great players back then. The biggest problem I have, I think Ty Cobb's rated way too high.
Wow.
He was a player none of us have, even the ESPN one didn't have in the top 10, and he's at year 5. And I was going over his stats, and yeah, he led, like, there's so many bold categories showing, like, oh, he led the league in that. But it's also, like we said, a different game, a lot less teams. He only won 1 MVP.
Yeah.
And yeah, he also had almost 4,200 hits. But, I mean, it was just such a different game back then.
Yeah.
I don't think he was as dominant to be in the top 10, even in the top 5. You could put him maybe 6 through 10. I'll be okay with that. But I think 1 through 5, that's just hard to put him in the top 5 of all time.
I'm going to be honest. I think he was my biggest pick behind the Cap Anson one. I think he is one of the greatest hitters of all time. I said I would say it again, but like he led an average of in all time. He was second in hits. Like he was such a good player. Like you can't ignore the stats. I get it. It's a different game, but you can't ignore the stats. The stats are there. He was just that good of a hitter, and his defense was great too. He was just an all-around good player. But
all right.
Lastly, though, Cap Anson. I'm actually so surprised that none of you guys like batted an eye. You guys are just like,
we don't know too much about him, I guess.
Yeah. I trust you in saying he's
Fun
good.
fact about me: he's actually my favorite player of all time, behind Will White, behind Mike Trout. Will White, you can look him up.
Okay, Will White, he's a beast. Okay,
So moving on to Brandon. All right, I'll go first. The biggest problem I have is Derek Jeter. Yeah,
Brandon, you're gonna get torched.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Derek Jeter, especially because I'll give you Ichiro because if you count his Japanese and MLB, then I'll give you
4,000
Ichiro.
hits.
That's 4,000 hits. He holds the record for most hits in a season. That was his rookie season, 262 hits.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll give you Ichiro, but I have a huge problem with Derek Jeter in the top 10. He never won an MVP. He was just consistent.
MVP, yeah.
I'll give you that because he was consistent, and because he played on the Yankees, he was able to get his fame. Yeah, play in the spotlight and get his fame. But yeah, Derek Jeter is the biggest issue I have. I'm not a Derek Jeter hater. Let's
have him answer this one first. I want to see his answer.
No, I mean I have him in there for sentimental value because, like I said, my arguments are going to be more because I don't my baseball history is not as good as the others here, but he means something special to me just because of his playing ability and his unique playmaking style. So I mean I get what you're saying, and yeah, I do agree with that. But for me, it's a sentimental pick because my list is more not necessarily stat driven, but to me, like who I felt really were my top 10. So
okay,
what I'm gonna say about this is you're gonna hate me. I actually wouldn't change anything. I think it's fine. Yeah,
wow, someone is supporting me here.
Because
that is so good to hear.
I find like 5 problems with this list. Just saying.
I'm not surprised Steven found 5 problems with my
all right,
list.
Steven. Let's hear him, Steven.
okay,
I'm not going to say all 5 because I don't want to say all 5 because I'll be too long. I agree with Jesus, Derek Jeter. I don't even think he's a top 10 shortstop, but definitely not a top 10 player. My biggest problem is I think the Nolan Ryan being in the top 10. Because I said this before.
He just had longevity.
Yeah, okay. I said this before we started recording, but I compare it to Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston threw the most interceptions, but that's just because he threw the most passes.
You mean
the reason he had so many strikeouts is the innings he pitched, and that's where his walks came from. I just think control is an issue. He was dominant just because of how fast he threw. Some people say he threw faster than Aroldis Chapman just because of the
No,
radar guns.
He did.
Yeah,
he did.
that's where he got his dominance from. I don't think he's a top 10 player. I like him because he was on the Angels. I don't think he's dominant.
Yeah, I wouldn't include him.
Yeah, I see. But you talk about longevity, like Jesus says, he talks about longevity. And I'm gonna relate that back to Mariano Rivera. They're both consistent players through history, and they could put up numbers, and that's something you can't take away from both those players. And yeah, the walks happen, but pitchers aren't gonna strike out at the same time. And I know control, that's a big stat, but you can't doubt and you can't take away from the fact that he was consistent and he had that longevity in his career.
Before we move on to Jesus, can I just say Nolan Ryan is actually tied with another player for the most seasons played in 27. The other player, by the way, is Cap Anson.
Cap Anson.
I'm just saying, dude. Guy was the GOAT before we even knew what GOAT stood for. He was okay.
We should just title the episode "Why Cap Anson is the best player of all time." This is what's going to come.
I'm gonna start in criticizing Jesus's list.
All right. Go.
Well, I think Jesus should present his list first. I think. Oh, sorry. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
Everything about it, great. But number 9, Sandy Koufax.
Yeah,
that's dumb.
Okay.
11. I'd put Nolan Ryan in his place, and I'd see that as a perfectly fine list. I'd put could you even
put Roger Clemens in there before Sandy?
Roger Clemens could fit in that list totally. Criticize me more. Warren Spahn.
All right.
Do you think he was better than Sandy Koufax? I mean,
Hal Newhouser.
All of your arguments, you guys are attacking me because Sandy didn't last. That's not his fault. His arm eventually gave out. He literally could not pitch anymore. But he had, in my opinion, the most dominant 5-year stretch a pitcher can ever have. Look at his 1962 to 1966.
Yep.
He won three Cy Youngs. He had an ERA of 1.74, 1.73. He struck out 382 batters in one season, and he had control. He only walked 71 guys. He went 26-8 with a ERA of 2.04. This is probably the greatest pitching, and also, I mean, I'll give it a little opinion too. He was a lefty. For some reason, I just value left-handed pitchers a lot more because crafty it's just lefties. It's crafty. I did have Randy Johnson there originally, but the only reason I didn't, I chose Sandy because if Sandy would have played his entire career, I think he would have had a better career than Randy Johnson. But yeah,
he didn't.
It was a stretch. I know it was a stretch putting Sandy there, but in my opinion, he just had like the most unstoppable stretch ever. And
my problem was with the Sandy Koufax, and it wasn't because he didn't play long enough. I don't think he was consistent enough. He was consistent, like you said, for 5 years, and he pitched for 12. I think you should have put the big unit, Randy Johnson, in there. I think he's the best left-handed pitcher of all time.
Yeah,
Randy Johnson. Yeah, hot take, Randy Johnson.
No, I was gonna say if there's one pitcher you choose to he'll get you an out, or he'll go for 3 hitters, he'll get you through the inning. I choose Randy Johnson 10 times out of 10 just because he's so disgusting.
And Randy Johnson, I forgot what year in the playoffs, but I remember watching on one of the rerun games with the Diamondbacks. He threw 100 pitches a day or two. He threw 100 pitches, and then a day or two later he came in relief, and he gave the Diamondbacks, the Mariners, he gave them so much hope that when he comes in, we're gonna get an out. When he starts a game, we're gonna get that win. It's just so dominant.
Here's another hot take. I think Randy Johnson was the Barry Bonds of pitching.
Yep. Power.
Yeah.
Power.
He was just ultimate power.
6'10" lefty that pumped heat, dude.
Yeah.
This guy was in your face.
His slider, dude, his slider would literally hit righties and they'd still swing.
They swing. You look at, there's so many 100 players today that can throw 100 miles an hour, and besides Aroldis Chapman, name you could count how many fingers lefties in baseball all time or whatever. How many have through triple digits?
Yeah,
Like
you can count.
It's
them
just
in your,
uncommon
uh-huh.
for lefties
And
to do that, and he was one of
to
them.
have-
Like
Yeah.
pumps gas.
No offense to the lefties out there. We love you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we should move on to NBA players
Okay.
of all
So
time.
Yeah.
I'll give the ESPN one.
Or I think we should skip the ESPN one. I'm pretty sure everyone really knows what's
Well, let's.
out.
We should.
I'll just go through it real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 10, you got Shaquille O'Neal. Number 9, you got Kobe Bryant. Number 8, they had Tim Duncan. Number 7, Larry Bird. Number 6, Wilt Chamberlain. Number 5, Magic Johnson. Number 4, Bill Russell. Number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Number 2, LeBron James. And number 1, Michael Jordan.
All right.
So shall I start with mine?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll start with number 10, Magic Johnson. I think he's a great player. I just think they overrate. I think he's sometimes a little too overrated just because of the team he was with. It was too good, I think. So that's my explanation for that. Number 9, I have Hakeem Olajuwon. They didn't name him there. Man's a monster. All-time
The
leader in
dream.
blocks. Yeah, I mean, he played for his hometown. Well, not hometown, but like he went from Houston College. He and Clyde Drexler went from Houston to play in Houston. You know, they won 2 straight titles to stop the
Bulls.
The Bulls run. Some consider, the Bulls in the 90s the greatest of all time. Number 8, I have Larry Bird. I don't know. I dropped him down just because, like I said, with Magic, he was just on too good of a team. But he was still a great player, great 3-point shooter. I love his swagger, especially in his 3-point. His 3-point shooting contest when he was wearing like his
warm-up jacket.
Game wear, like swagger, unreal. Number 7, I have Kobe. I think he was in the ESPN one. He was 9 is a little too low for him.
Yeah.
He's a great player. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Like Brandon said earlier, that we have the Kobe shot.
Kobe.
But he's a great player. He played at a really young age. Stuck with his team the entire time. He was drafted wasn't he drafted by the Hornets?
Yeah,
or
and
something?
traded to
But
Lakers.
he played for the Lakers his entire career. Number 6 is Wilt Chamberlain. It looks like it's the same with ESPN for that one. Many don't realize this. He was a track star in college. So, at the time when he played, there weren't as many like tall players, but not sprint. Like he was a pure athlete. If he was maybe 5 inches shorter, he would be like maybe a little more dominant, but still his height was just, unreal at the time. Number 5, I have Shaq. I think that he was completely underrated in the ESPN one. I think Shaq is the most dominant player of all time. Like just his athleticism he was 7 feet, but he was also like 300 pounds. I don't know his exact weight, but just how athletic he was at that weight, breaking backboards multiple times. This one, it was kind of hard for me, the number 3 and 4. Number 4, I put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You can't put him outside the top 5 just because he's a scoring master and how well he played throughout his entire career. Like never took a year off. He was consistently good. But I put Bill Russell ahead of him. Now, Bill Russell holds the record for most NBA titles as a player with 11. I don't think that record will ever be broken just because of how many good teams there are. You could debate just because of the competition he played, but I still think winning 11 championships is an accomplishment that you can't dispute. Number 2, I have Michael Jordan. I think LeBron, who's my number 1, is better. Michael Jordan, I say this a lot, and I just think you can't use just how many titles he won as the only argument as why he won more than James. He had a way better team. He's had a better team than LeBron James has ever had. The Lakers are pretty good this year, but still nowhere near Michael Jordan's team. They had 2 other Hall of Famers. I don't know if Steve Kerr's a Hall of Famer. I don't think so. But you had Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen, who you could also put in the top 10 possibly. And then number 1, LeBron James. Yeah. And my one argument there is when he took a Cavs team without Kyrie Irving and a hurt Kevin Love to the NBA Finals. I don't care that they got shut out. That year made him the GOAT.
No, there was a season where he took the Warriors to 6 with his second best player, Matthew Dellavedova.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, that's zero. If he had Kevin Love and
He makes
Kyrie,
more of it-
he would have won.
he makes more of a difference on his team than Michael Jordan did.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that. Okay.
All right.
All right. Huge disclaimer. Just like Brandon said with the baseball, my history in basketball is not the greatest. Basketball is not one of my preferred sports. Anyways, number 10, I have Jerry West. Jerry West. Yes, he's on the NBA logo, and yes, his name is When I think of like great basketball players from a long time ago, I think of Jerry West. Okay. Yeah. Number 9, Shaq. Shaq attack. The guy was huge. He broke backboards. He was nuts. He's insane. Today, he's still an NBA icon. Shaq than a fool. I don't know. Super. He's such an icon for basketball. He is. Yeah. Number 8, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant. I grew up watching him. I never really watched much basketball, but when I watched basketball, I'd watch Kobe Bryant. He's a gamer. He's everything you want in a basketball player. Oh, I love him. Rest in peace, Kobe. Number 7, Magic Johnson. I put him there because people thought he was really good. I don't know how good of a player he was. But yeah, the reason why, sure. And I looked up his stats. He's a good player. Number 6, Larry Bird. I love him. Okay, I love him. Yes, he played on a good team, so you might. Yeah, dude, that's like my shot. Exactly my shot.
All right.
Kareem.
Magic. Yeah.
Number 5. Kareem. When I think, again, you think of great basketball players, you think of Kareem. He is, I don't know. He was so good. I don't know anything. Bill Russell. ESPN put Bill Russell on the list. So I was like, I don't know. Bill Russell, you're on the list, dude. Number 3, Wilt Chamberlain. The main reason why I put Wilt Chamberlain there was because I've heard of a little story where he scored 100 points in a game. Is that correct? Is that
Yes. Only player to do it.
Only player to do it.
Kobe's number 2.
That's insane. Some teams don't even score 100 points in a game. Let alone a single player to do that. That's crazy. Number 2, I put the last 2 are the only ones that I could potentially argue. LeBron James is number 2. Number 1 is Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan is the face of basketball, maybe even the face of sports in general. You think of the greatest sportsman of all time, you think of Michael Jordan. I'm sure right now you think of LeBron James. Yes, he carried the Cavs. He's just so monstrous on the court.
He gets better with age also.
Yeah. He's like fine wine, baby.
Like a fine wine, baby. Shout out Draft Nick Mark. But yeah, that's the list for you.
All right, Brandon, give us your list now.
Oh, God.
I also give a disclaimer because my recent basketball history is way better than my past, so I'm in the same boat as Shelly here. And people are gonna have problems with my list, and I already know it. Just like baseball. Number 10, I got Steph Curry. Reason why is because you cannot discredit him for revolutionizing the modern game. I know people are gonna say that like this Steve Kerr and the 93 Bulls made 3-pointers, but since Steph Curry, he's inspired the next generation of basketball players who are solely focused on shooting threes.
Look at Curry.
Flight Reacts, this is for you, bro.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Number 9, Bill Russell, because Bill Russell. Number 8.
That's the same reason why I put him there. Same reason.
Because Magic Johnson just needs to get on a list, and I thought 8 was perfect for Magic Johnson. Number 7, you got Shaq, just because Shaq should be there, and I think he's good.
Dude.
I'm sorry, my basketball knowledge is not good at all. Number 6, I got Kobe Bryant, and Kobe was someone I grew up with, and he holds a special place in my heart. And the only reason why he's not higher is because the one part of his game that I loved and I hated was his ball. I'm not gonna say ball hogging, but his will to score. He always wanted to score, make the clutch shots, which is a trait to be aspired for. But I'm also big on team ball, so that's why he's where he is. Number 5, Larry Bird. Can't figure out Larry Bird. Number 4, everyone's got problems with this. LeBron James is my number 4, and and to be completely honest, I don't get the LeBron hype. When it comes to assists and playmaking and making his teammates better, yes, I totally agree with you there. When it comes to being a pure scorer, I don't think he is. I think my top 3 are a better pure scorer than LeBron. I know LeBron's good in the post, but when it comes to him shooting and his free throw percentages, not good. Number 3, I got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The skyhook, man, could not be stopped in the post. Number 2, Wilt Chamberlain, just because Wilt Chamberlain. And number 1, Michael Jordan. I think that's undisputed. Michael Jordan, to me, is the greatest basketball player of all time.
I dispute that.
Yeah, I'm gonna dispute that later. All right.
Okay.
Lastly, my list, number 10, I got Bill Russell. I mean, 11 championships. You got to include him there somehow. Number 9, I know this is gonna piss some people off, but I got Shaq. The only reason I got Shaq here at 9 is because he always bounced around and he didn't. I was debating putting Shaq over Timmy D, but I chose Tim Duncan at number 8 because he was just a big fundamental. He won 5 rings. He went 5-1 in the finals. No, not a lot of people remember that. He was able to. He won 2 MVPs. He was good in his prime and post prime. He was just unstoppable with Popovich there. And at number 7, I got Larry Bird. I mean, he won 3 championships with the Celtics. He had that swagger, that competition with Magic. It was just the 80s for basketball was amazing. And number 6, I got Wilt Chamberlain. Dude scored 100 points. He can get triple doubles like crazy. This dude, he was just athletically just insane, and he could not be stopped in basketball. The most unstoppable player given his era, because other basketball players weren't as developed as they are now. Number 5, I got Magic because he was the face of the Showtime Lakers in the 80s. He led them to 9 finals appearances, going 5-4. That's just unheard of. Going to 9 finals, especially because Jerry West went to 10 in the 60s and 70s, but that's different because it was in the past, along with Bill Russell. In the 80s, there was more competition. There was the Celtics and the Pistons, and Magic going to 9 finals with the Lakers. That's just unheard of. Number 4, I got Kobe Bryant. Dude was flat out special. He went 5-2 in the finals. People say, oh, Shaq helped him win in 2000, 2001, and 2002. But in 2009 and 2010, those finals were hard fought. He was the leader of that team, and in 2010, I think 2010 just cemented his place as one of the greatest players of all time, beating the Celtics in 7. That was a legendary finals matchup. And that's why I give Kobe the number 4 spot. At number 3, we got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar just because of his skyhook. It's just insane. He could not be stopped. You knew the skyhook was coming and you just could not stop it, no matter what. That is the most unstoppable move in the NBA ever, the skyhook from Kareem. At number 2, I got MJ just because I value LeBron better. LeBron made his team overall better, and this is why I have him at number 1. When LeBron left the Cavs were a lottery team. 20 wins, 19, 18, 25 at the max. When MJ left for 2 seasons, the Bulls lost 2 less games. They just had their team was super stacked. Loaded. And MJ was drafted into a legit team, a front office with the plan. Dude, LeBron was drafted to the Cavs. The Cavs had zero plan. They didn't know what they were doing. And the fact that LeBron carried and took the Warriors to 6, he took the Warriors to 6 without Kyrie, without Kevin. Dellavedova was the second highest scorer, and he
still did well.
Yeah.
Dellavedova still did well.
Okay, yeah, but just for him to take that team, if he had Kyrie and Kevin, he would have easily had another ring. And I just have LeBron 1 overall because there's just his whole he's the complete basketball player. His game, he's a winner. He makes his team better. When he leaves teams, the teams become like lottery teams. And yeah.
Okay, before we move on to like questioning each other's top 10s, I have a question for Brandon and Shelly. So like you guys didn't have LeBron at number 1 and me and Jesus did. The question I have, I just did the math based on how many points he is behind and using his career average in points scored a season. LeBron is on pace to beat Kareem to like pass him in career scoring in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
If and when he does that, many say he will, because based on how he's playing at his age, he could do it in 2 seasons. When he does this, he's like 36, I think.
He's 35, I think.
35. And he still has 2 seasons left, right? With the Lakers?
With the Lakers, yeah.
If and when he does this with the Lakers, will he be the greatest of all time? Will he pass Jordan?
Yes.
He would shift. Yes, he would shift on my list.
He would shift 3 spots, though, because you had him at 4, which is the other question.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay. I sincerely, I'll answer this question because I know that I'll get it. I sincerely don't believe the LeBron hype. Yes, I love him as a player. I don't hate LeBron, by the way. I think he's a phenomenal player. I just think that when it comes to pure scoring, these guys come to mind before LeBron. If I had to go by who's the best team player, LeBron is number 1. But to me, what takes precedent on an all-time list, in my opinion, is being a scorer, because you win games by scoring points, and that's why to me LeBron is slightly lower. And I will say that it's not like Michael Jordan's a standout amongst those 4. Like if you put them all on a line, they're gonna follow the same line. It's not like those top 4 for me are highly interchangeable. It's just I think LeBron still has a career to finish, and after his career is done, and we can look at it as a whole, he'll shift in my mind.
Yeah, I really agree with the team.
Yeah,
I really agree with the team playing. How LeBron's probably the best. One example is look at Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball's first year on the Lakers without LeBron.
Lonzo.
He averaged like 6 and 5 or whatever, like nothing for a number 2 pick. Like he was horrible, looking like he was going to be a bust. LeBron comes over. Lonzo starts to get flashy. LeBron turned Lonzo Ball into a great player. Yeah, he doesn't score 20 points a game, but Lonzo Ball is a slightly different version of LeBron. He gets triple doubles and he just makes his team better. And when Lonzo went to the Pelicans, he kept that. He still plays the same. The team playing the full court lobs with Zion. Like it's a fun team to watch.
Okay, Brandon, I want to counter this. Like you say that LeBron isn't a scorer, but for his career he averages 27. And
I'm not saying he's not a scorer. I'm just saying these 3 guys, when I think of a scorer, those 3 guys come to mind before LeBron does.
Okay, but
for me, LeBron not being a good 3-point shooter, not a good free throw shooter is something that bothers me in my mind. And I know that Kareem and Will aren't 3-point shooters as well, but they dominated the post. And LeBron does dominate the post, but those 3 guys, like I said, come to mind before LeBron does in my mind.
Okay, the one thing I do want to refute is at this, like for LeBron, when he was on the Cavs, when he was his first stint with the Cavs, he couldn't, and with the Heat, he couldn't take every shot. Like he wasn't like MJ, where all right, we'll give you the ball, you'll have your shots. Like LeBron has to pass, he has to involve the whole team because that's his responsibility. He's more valuable not shooting as much because he has to better the team and do what's best for the team. But I've heard LeBron say, I mean, obviously it's biased because it's coming from LeBron. He said he can average 35 if he really wanted to, but that's not what he wants to do. Right. Like this season, he's averaging 25.7. He's averaging almost 11 assists too, alongside.
Yeah, I know.
Like if he didn't pass as much, obviously he could score more.
It's kind of like Trout.
I put LeBron number 1 on on a team ball list. But to me, top 10 scoring is precedent. And I'm gonna go back to my argument saying like my 4 are interchangeable and they're really close. I think it looks bad on paper because like we think of 1, 2, 3, 4 as like set increments. But my 1, 2, 3, 4 are almost even, and just those 3 edge out LeBron.
Okay, like we can debate this LeBron Jordan thing forever.
For hours.
So let's go into like our top 10s and let's try our best to exclude a LeBron Jordan debate. So like
I will go
different
first.
then.
I will go first.
Are we gonna start with my list or your list?
Okay.
Let's do whatever.
Let's start with your list,
Alright,
Steven.
let's just go in the order that
Okay,
we went.
Steven.
Okay, I wouldn't include Hakeem the Dream just mainly because I'd rather have Shaq in there. Oh no, Shaq. Okay, my bad.
Shaq's fine.
I mean, I'd rather have Tim Duncan just because you don't have any power forwards, and I know it's debatable. It's all opinion based here, but I mean, yeah, I Hakeem, he is on ESPN. He came out like number 12, so he's not that far off. You can include, and the other problem I do have is you have Magic a little low. I mean, it is also. I mean, I'm saying it as a Laker fan, but I mean, you do have him a little low. I get it that you think he's overrated just because of the team he was a part of, and like as a rookie, he won the finals. Like that's how good the team already was. But yeah, I just think Magic a little higher. But other than that, I think it's fine.
For the Hakeem one, like I said, career leader in blocks, and also he's top 15 all time in scoring. But I chose him up there just because of the difference he makes on that team. Like winning.
He was the team, yeah.
Him and Clyde Drexler, like winning 2 years in a row against the Bull, like beating the Bulls, like
they didn't beat the Wolves. They beat the Knicks 1 year
and the Bulls, right?
No.
They beat them in one.
No, the Bulls never made the finals after. Oh no, they never made the finals in those 2
in
years.
93, 94?
No, because MJ went 6-0, and when MJ left, he didn't.
Oh, okay.
The Bulls didn't make the finals.
I just think him taking control of that team, like it just puts him up there, and like I said, he's a big difference maker. For the Magic Johnson, I don't know. Like I said, the team he was on kind of puts him low, but with his size, like he was 6'8", 6'9", or something like that.
Yeah.
You think he should be like a small forward, possibly even a power forward, but it was his ability to pass. It's kind of like Allen Iverson was a shooting guard at 6 feet. Like you think that's too small to play that, but it was just his ability to create a shot, just like James Harden. I just put him. I didn't put him that high just because I thought that I stick with the players ahead of him, just how they were so much more like needed for the team they were on.
Okay.
Because like you said, rookie year they win.
They won the finals.
Steven.
Yeah.
I'm gonna question one of your picks. Hakeem Olajuwon. I don't know who he is, so I don't know why I.
All-time
We
leader
just
in blocks.
discussed it.
All-time leader in blocks.
Blocks.
Oh,
man.
and this is something to back you up,
Okay.
Steven, but Hakeem was the first overall pick in the Jordan draft. Like he was undisputed going to be first overall.
Yeah.
That's just how much raw talent he had.
Well, I can respect Steven's list then. I can respect it. I'd maybe put Magic and Wilt higher.
The only other thing I would, but this is just because like this is my opinion, and like the old NBA is a little like it was a lot easier back then. I wouldn't put Bill Russell at 3. I'd put him like 8, 9, or 10. But that's just opinion.
I was going to ask you, Jesus, because ESPN put Bill Russell top 5. Steven put Bill Russell top 5. I put Bill Russell top 5.
He was just such a dominant force in the league. And yeah, there was like 13 players in the Celtics won like every year. I just think as dominant as he was, that makes him number 3. Okay, Brandon, you have any problems?
No.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to Shelly's. I'm pretty sure everyone can agree. I don't think Jerry West should be a top 10.
Yeah.
He's a good. That's the only problem I have. I actually like Shelly's list.
Yeah.
I don't know about Kareem, Bill Russell. I mean, I put Bill Russell better than Kareem, but that was the hardest decision. I don't think Will Chamberlain should be ahead of Kareem, just because like you look at Wilt's stats. He has that record, another unbroken record, like we've been talking about a couple. Like it was like 55 rebounds in one game by one player. But that was before the goaltending age. I don't know when they implemented goaltending, but you think of Will Chamberlain, he was like 7'1", 7'2", and when he first played for the 76ers and for the Warriors, like there weren't players that tall at the time, and he was just such a dominating force that
same goes for Bill Russell. There weren't as many tall players.
Yeah, I know, but still winning 11 championships is hard.
Something I want to say though, that will defend Will Chamberlain as possibly the greatest player of all time. I've seen this all over Instagram, but it's like Will literally changed the game. They had to create. He was so good. They created different rules to stop him. Like that's how unstoppable this man was.
They even did Kareem in college when Kareem was at college. He played 4 years at UCLA. Didn't play his freshman year because John Wooden didn't allow freshmen to play. They created a rule where you couldn't dunk in college basketball because of Kareem.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know this is college and we're talking about NBA, but like, Kareem, I remember when the draft was coming up in 1967 or whatever Kareem was drafted in, whatever year, they didn't do a lottery. Instead, they did a coin flip. Something like that. So Kareem, the Bucks got first. And chose Kareem. Number 2, I forgot who he was. But he had a really good career. But to miss out on Kareem, everyone knew he was a franchise player. Everyone knew for the next 10 years, they would be finals contenders. That's just how much like of a difference he made. Like you were saying with Hakeem.
Yeah.
Okay. Brandon.
Okay. Brandon, I feel we can all say Steph Curry. Yeah. I mean, I do see where you're coming from. He has revolutionized the game, but I think the biggest issue with him right now that might prevent him from getting into the top 10 is health. Like this dude is literally like he belongs at Weenie Hut Juniors. I swear to God, because he gets hurt for like out of anything.
Broken.
Yeah, but like the league has taken an initiative. Like you can't come into contact with shooters. Like the league has built the game for players like Steph, like Trae Young,
James Harden.
Yeah, up and coming player like that. I do respect the part that Steph has revolutionized this game, but he's just not top 10 yet. And another refute, a hot take right here: Steph Curry is not clutch. This man needed KD. They added KD.
They lost with KD, but they lost their first year with KD.
No, they didn't.
Oh wait, no, they lost the 73-9 season, and then they got KD. Yeah,
and then they got KD. They needed 4 All-Stars to take down LeBron. Like I don't know.
Okay, but that just shows how good LeBron is. Okay, for my opinion, the only reason I don't like Steph Curry is just because his career is not finished. And I know I still put LeBron, but still, it's LeBron. He's played 16 years, and he's never averaged less than 20 points a game. And he led the league this year in assists. I think somewhat of a hot take here. I think when Steph Curry finished his career, he's a top 10 player just because of how much he's changed the game. His two MVPs, right?
Yeah,
and it was the first unanimous.
Yeah,
unanimous. That just shows how dominant he is. And yeah, the league somewhat centered for players like him, but I still think he's still a dominant force. I think he shaped players like Trae Young. Trae Young in college would pull up from almost half court. Steph Curry does that. And you look at the Golden State Thunder game when he pulled up for almost half court when he still had like 4 or 5 seconds or whatever to go for a regular three.
That's what blew him up.
It might be like a little inappropriate, but he just has he's fearless to shoot shots like that, and they still going. His first made shot coming back in his first game coming back from the broken hand, he did with the shot clock going down, he just threw it up and it goes in. That's just the kind of player he is. Call it luck, I call it skill. Steph Curry's a god.
Well, Well, then that supports why he's number 10 on my list. I'm just calling it earlier.
I just don't think it's because his career.
Yeah.
he still has more to play.
That's like
Yeah,
if we.
I get
That's
that.
like if we put Mike Trout in our
Trout,
top
yeah.
10.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
saw that
and,
coming.
By the
all
way,
three-
Mike Trout was in
did.
my top 10.
yeah, it wasn't a couple. He still has more than half his career to play. You can't put him in the
Yeah.
top 10.
And if it wasn't for Cap Anson, he wouldn't have been on that list.
Okay.
I mean, he would have been on that list. I'm just saying.
Other than that, I don't really have that many problems, except
I-
LeBron being 4. I think that's
And
ridiculous.
Will and number 2. I don't.
That's ridiculous. Sorry,
Yeah.
Brandon.
All right, Jesus. Bill Russell, number 10. Who are you?
Okay, that's just my opinion though. With regarding
Well, that's my argument too.
players
That's
from the
my
past.
that's my opinion with my players. So
Players from the past, and honestly, I didn't want to put Bill Russell in there. I wanted to put Hakeem in there as the number 10.
You can't keep Bill Russell out of the top 10. I'm sorry.
But yeah, you just have to respect him because he won 11 rings.
more
playing
than
against
more rings than
plumbers.
fingers.
Okay, playing against plumbers.
Okay, the problem I have with Jesus is, you said, was it Tim Duncan? Was it like 5-1 in the finals?
Yeah,
I don't call it a bias. I don't like the Spurs just because they're boring. Because they play old-fashioned basketball with Popovich. A ton of passing. I'm not saying like using backboards, not shooting threes. They do shoot threes, but they're just such a smart team, and you know they're
boring. Yeah.
they're one of the best teams
Well
of our
coached.
generation.
Yeah.
Because consecutive playoff appearances, but I don't know. I just thought Tim Duncan, he was kind of the face because I think he's better than Tony Parker as it is. I mean, he even made the top 10 for ESPN. I don't know. I just find the Spurs boring. That's why I didn't include him. He would be my 11 or 12 just because of he was
The big fundamental.
he goated the mid-range bank shot. Yeah. But I don't know. That's my only problem. I don't like Tim Duncan top 10.
yeah, I don't disagree
Same here.
that Tim Duncan's in your top 10. I just think he's too high. I put Tim Duncan number 10 and put Bill Russell and Shaq before.
That's the highest I'd put him
after
this time.
Tim Duncan. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Shelly?
Well, I already said what I said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
None of you guys have a problem with Kobe at 4? I thought you guys were
No.
going to say.
I think Kobe's a top 5 player, but it was just so hard to put. I think they completely screwed Shaq. Was he at 9 in the ESPN one?
Yeah.
10.
Yeah, 10. He's 10. He's such a dominant force. Like, he's the type of player we talk about, like these old-fashioned players. I know Shaq only retired, like, what was it, like 9-10 years ago? Shaq would still be as dominant as he was if he played in today's game.
Zion
Dirk-
before Zion.
Dirk Nowitzki is like Steph Curry in revolutionizing the game. Dirk Nowitzki was like a stretch 5, and Steph Curry, with how many threes he takes. But Dirk Nowitzki set the tone for guys like Anthony Davis. I can't think of another one off the top of my head. Just like big. Oh, and Marc Gasol and Pau Gasol, like big men that can shoot. Shaq was the true 5. He was the true center player who would
Unstoppable.
everything down low.
He literally controlled, like, that was his property.
You get it. You get the ball inside the paint, a 1-on-1. Like you can't guard
it's
that.
going in. Yeah, it's going in. That I didn't want to push Shaq. The one thing I do regret, I think Shaq should go ahead of Timmy D for sure.
Yeah.
Like, he was just unstoppable.
But it just goes to show you, the more
It's
we
super
debate, the more, it's ridiculously hard. So those are our MLB and NBA top 10s. I'm sure that this comment section will be full of debate, especially with my list. I am expecting it.
Are we going to do a hot take, though?
Well, no.
Oh, yeah.
No. Before we finish, I got some F1 news for you. F1
Oh,
We love
yay!
F1.
F1.
Yeah, I love your fake enthusiasm, Steven. But we got like our podcast says, we report on everything. So I got you guys. And once I describe this to you in terms of basketball terms, you guys will agree with me. This is blockbuster. So it was announced earlier this week that Ferrari and Sebastian Vettel would be parting ways at the end of the year. The 4-time world champion parting
way
Ferrari is huge.
Wait,
This
that's
shocked-
actually kind of big.
This
That's
shocked.
actually big.
Well, actually, I'm sorry. This was riveting news in the F1 world, but honestly, a lot of people saw this coming. This year, Charles Leclerc, first year with Ferrari, completely dominated his maiden season with Ferrari. there was debates because of how good Leclerc was that they were stopped treating Vettel like the number one driver at Ferrari, and people were wondering how much time did Vettel have at Ferrari, and that question was answered at the end of 2020. Ferrari and Vettel are parting ways, and guess what happens 2 days later? Carlos Sainz from McLaren gets signed by Ferrari, and Daniel Ricciardo moves from Renault to McLaren. These moves are so major. Sainz deserves this. He went from Toro Rosso to Renault to McLaren, and he proved in a midfield car that finished fourth in the constructors, and he finished sixth in the drivers' championships. I dare to say he's like the LeBron of Ferrari. LeBron of Formula One. He made a team that 2 to 3 years ago was on the same level as Williams, shoot past everyone in the midfield, and finish fourth in the constructors with Lando Norris. And we still don't know where Vettel's going to land. I honestly want to see him go to Red Bull, but I have some issues with that because that means my favorite duo of Max Verstappen and Alex Albon will be changed. So the hot take for F1 is Vettel goes to Mercedes, and that'll be huge because now you pit the 6-time world champion Lewis Hamilton teammates with the 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel. That dynamic will be huge. And I'll make the NBA analogy now. Imagine if LeBron and Giannis got traded. Giannis goes to the Lakers, LeBron goes to the Bucks, and then just to make it more interesting, Westbrook goes to Denver. That's basically the equivalent.
That's pretty interesting.
So that's your hot take, like the trade.
Sebastian Vettel goes to Mercedes, and I know probably a lot of people, won't understand what I'm saying.
I think our F1 fans will love that, Brandon.
Yeah, appreciate
all 4 of them. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go with mine. I was gonna do baseball. So like during this, when we were like talking about baseball, I was looking up Albert Pujols' stats for some reason. One fun fact about him is I saw he is a career leader of all time in double play groundouts. I thought.
Yeah.
But I was looking. It's not a huge hot take. I think for our first 2 episodes, I've had like pretty like steaming hot ones, but for this one, he's only 44 home runs away from 700. I think he'll be the next one to do it. There was some speculation of him retiring this year because of the coronavirus. I don't think that. I'm pretty sure he has 2 years left on his contract. At least. I think he'll get 700 home runs. I think also staying with Pujols without his like plateauing with the Angels, if he stayed with what he was, if he stayed consistent to what he did in St. Louis with the Angels, I think he'd be in all of our top 10 lists.
Yeah, he would have, definitely.
Because just like Barry Bonds, he was one of the scariest men to come to the plate.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
All right. Boom.
All right,
Shell.
My hot take. This is a steaming hot one. Steaming hot. We're going baseball again. And you guessed it, it's Cap Anson.
Cap Anson.
Oh my God.
If Cap Anson played in today's game, he would be a top 20 player.
But he's in your top 10.
Yeah.
If he played in today's game, today's game of baseball.
Okay. So he'd be
he would be a top 20 player in the game.
The reason
I say this
Cap.
Because one, he is.
He got Cap.
Yeah, he's literally a capper. His name is Cap.
Yeah.
He literally. I know he doesn't hit home runs. He doesn't hit home runs.
You need to hit home runs in this game, Shelly. I'm sorry.
But look.
I give him credit for being contact hitter.
Look at how kids are being raised. Kids are being raised to hit to all fields. This guy was the king of that, according to both sources.
Have you seen the video of Josh Donaldson hitting? He's like, kids, your coach says to stay on top. No, you do not. You tell him no.
Home run.
In the bigs, you hit home runs. Launch angle.
Look at Mike Trout. Mike Trout hits 40 home runs a year, and he says he's not even trying to hit home runs. I bet if Mike Trout tried to be like
launch angle like Joey Gallo.
If he was a Joey Gallo, Pete Alonso type hitter, he'd easily hit 60 home runs, possibly break the record.
Look, Cap Anson is one of the smartest players to ever play the game. The reason I say this, how can you play at such a high level, yet manage at such a high level. You won 5 pennants, 579 winning percentage.
Okay, Shelly's pretty.
How is that possible?
Passionate about this.
It's
Let's
because
just
it's
not
a
argue.
different game.
Yes.
He
All
was
right.
the Mike Trout before there was a
Yes,
before a
we
Mike
should-
Trout.
Okay. Okay.
That-
All right. Now with my hot take, I'm gonna go football because I
Oh,
gotta.
gotta give football some love.
Yeah, there's a Dubs podcast fan out there, Daniel Lee, Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
My hot
Shout
take
out.
is the Cowboys will miss the playoffs for a
Thank
second
you.
consecutive season.
I agree with that.
Okay, hear me
I'm
out.
sorry.
All right, people will say their offense got better through the draft. Yeah, blah blah
Defense
blah.
wins
But their
championships.
defense is horrible. Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. The Eagles got better too. I just don't see the NFC East is too like they eat at each other. Like the Giants will magically find a way to win a game. The all hail the Redskins. They'll find a way to win a game. But yeah, I just do not see, especially the NFC. I mean, there are seven playoff teams now. Who knows? But yeah, my hot take: the Dallas Cowboys missed the playoffs again.
The Cowboys just find ways to lose.
Exactly.
That's true. Well, that's all for today, folks. Check out our socials on Insta, YouTube,